You're sitting in a meeting. A colleague stands up to present. They're confident, prepared. You can tell they rehearsed this. And then they mispronounce a word, a simple word. In front of everyone, they don't notice, but you do. And something strange happens inside you. Your stomach tightens. Your eyes flicker away from them. A heat spreads across your chest, maybe even your face. You are embarrassed, not for yourself. You didn't say anything. You didn't do anything wrong. But your body, your brain, doesn't seem to care about that distinction. This isn't just discomfort. This isn't just politeness. Something biological is happening in you right now on behalf of a person who doesn't even know they need it. The question is, why? In German, there is a word for this, Fremdschämen. It translates roughly to being ashamed for someone else. And the fact that German had to invent a specific word for it tells you something important. This is not a rare, fleeting accident of emotion. This happens to humans constantly. Psychologists call it vicarious embarrassment, or sometimes empathic embarrassment. It is defined as the experience of embarrassment triggered by observing someone else's social misstep, norm violation, or public failure. And here is what makes it genuinely strange. The other person doesn't have to be embarrassed for you to feel it. They don't even have to know anything went wrong. You can be sitting in a theater, watching a stranger walk out of the bathroom with toilet paper trailing from their shoe, completely unaware, smiling at the world, and you will feel the full weight of what they don't yet know. That is not empathy in the simple sense. That is something older and more sophisticated. And science has only recently begun to understand what it actually is. In 2011, a team of neuroscientists at the Philipps University of Marburg, led by Dr. Soren Krak and Dr. Frieder Paulus, published a landmark paper in PLOS 1 titled, "And This Is Real, Your Flaws Are My Pain." They placed participants inside fMRI brain scanners and showed them scenarios designed to trigger vicarious embarrassment, people slipping, people singing badly, people being humiliated in public situations. Then they looked at which brain regions lit up. What they found stopped researchers in their tracks. The brain regions that activated during vicarious embarrassment were the anterior cingulate cortex and the left anterior insula, two structures deeply involved in the experience of physical pain. Not metaphorical pain, not social discomfort. The same architecture your brain uses when you burn your hand or stub your toe was activating in response to watching someone else make a social mistake. The brain, at that level, does not fully distinguish between your pain and someone else's embarrassment. But there was something even more striking. The intensity of that brain activation, how brightly those regions lit up, correlated directly with the participants' individual scores on trait empathy scales. The more empathic a person was, the more their pain systems fired when watching someone else fail in public. Vicarious embarrassment wasn't a quirk. It wasn't a sensitivity. The study concluded it was a fundamental prerequisite of the empathic process, a feature deeply wired of being a social creature. Here's the part that should unsettle you slightly. In the same study, Krak and colleagues tested something specific. Does the observed person need to be aware of their embarrassing situation for you to feel vicarious embarrassment on their behalf? The answer was no. Participants felt vicarious embarrassment even when the observed person was completely oblivious to what was happening to them, even when there was no distress signal from the other person, even when, from the outside, everything looked fine. Your brain ran the simulation anyway. What this tells us is that vicarious embarrassment is not simply a mirroring of another person's distress. It is your brain generating a predictive model of the social damage being done, whether the other person sees it or not. You are, in a very literal sense, suffering in advance of someone who doesn't yet know they need to. This links to a broader cognitive system neuroscientists call theory of mind, the brain's ability to model what another person knows, feels, and will eventually experience. Vicarious embarrassment may be one of theory of mind's most socially protective expressions. Social closeness. Why it hurts more with people you love. In 2016, a follow-up study by Muller-Pinzler, Rademacher, Paulus, and Krak, published in Social Cognitive and Affective Neuroscience, explored a question most people already know the answer to intuitively. Does it matter how close you are to the person? Yes, dramatically. Participants were shown embarrassing scenarios involving close friends versus strangers. Not only did they report feeling more vicarious embarrassment for friends, the brain imaging confirmed it. A region called the precuneus, located in the parietal lobe, showed significantly greater activation for friends than for strangers. The precuneus is involved in representing other people's mental states, but also in self-referential thought, meaning when a close friend embarrasses themselves, your brain doesn't just model their experience. It also starts calculating what this means for you. Because when someone is your friend, their social image and your social image are partially fused. Their failure becomes a small crack in your own. The researchers put it clinically. Social closeness threatens your own public image vicariously, activating self-related processing alongside the empathic response. In plain terms, you don't just cringe for your friend. A part of your brain is quietly, rapidly asking, what does this say about me? The evolutionary why, a feature, not a bug. So why did this system evolve at all? Here, we turn to the work of UC Berkeley psychologist Dr. Keltner, whose research on embarrassment as a social signal offers a crucial piece of the picture. Keltner's research, published across multiple studies, including a foundational 1997 paper in Psychological Bulletin, demonstrated that the display of embarrassment, the averted gaze, the flushed face, the sheepish smile, functions as an appeasement signal. It communicates to the social group, I recognize I violated a norm. I value this group's opinion of me. I am not a threat. Embarrassment, in this reading, is pro-social machinery. It enforces group cohesion. It keeps social contracts intact. And vicarious embarrassment? It is the distributed version of that machinery. When you cringe at someone else's misstep, you are doing something evolutionarily ancient. You are internalizing the social cost of norm violation on behalf of your group. You are being trained, in real time, by the mistakes of others. You are a node in a social species' collective error correction system. Humans are not designed to learn only from their own failures. We are designed to learn from each other's. Vicarious embarrassment is the price of admission to that system. And the reason that price feels physical is that your brain has decided that social belonging is as vital to survival as the absence of pain. Because for our species, historically, it was. The next time you cringe at someone else's moment, the bad audition, the awkward speech, the joke that landed in silence, understand what is actually happening. You are not being oversensitive. You are not projecting. You are not weak. Your brain is running ancient, expensive social software. It is modeling another person's internal world, calculating social damage they may not yet see, activating the same systems it would use if you were the one in pain, because in a functional sense, you are. This is what it costs to be a social species. And research suggests the people who feel it most acutely, whose anterior cingulate cortex and insula fire the brightest on someone else's behalf, are also the people most capable of genuine connection, the most attuned, the most trusted. The German language gave us a word for the feeling, but perhaps the better frame is this. Vicarious embarrassment is not a flaw in the system. It is proof that the system is working. There are dozens of emotions like this, invisible, inherited, quietly running beneath your awareness, shaping how you move through the world. We're going to keep looking at them. If that's interesting to you, you know what to do.